In this somber video, we explore the unsettling fates of 5 British visitors who went missing while on vacation. From Roger Bainbridge's mysterious boat trip to Antipaxos to John Tossell's ill-fated hike on Zante's Mount Skopos, these haunting cases will leave you questioning what truly happened. Join us as we share these tragic stories. On October 29, 2022, Levi Davis, a young rugby player from the UK, was seen leaving an Irish bar in the bustling city of Barcelona after drinking only 1 pint. After a series of unexplained events, Levi's family, friends, and admirers were left grappling with a disturbing mystery that still lingers. Levi had arrived in Barcelona from Ibiza, a trip that was meant to be only a brief stop before he resumed his life. Instead, this marked the beginning of a perplexing disappearance. At 24 years old, Levi Davis was not just any rugby player. He had played for Bath and Ealing Trailfinders and had made a name for himself beyond the rugby field, mainly due to his lively personality. Levi was a man of many talents. In 2019, he appeared on Celebrity X Factor, where he performed in a group named TriStar, along with 2 other rugby players. Subsequently, he made an appearance on E4's Celebs Go Dating, further solidifying his reputation as a charming and gifted person. But according to his family, beneath the public image was a man battling personal issues and even some financial difficulties that left him struggling with depression. On October 29, 2022, a Saturday, Levi left Ibiza for Barcelona with just £35 in his pocket and no change of clothes. Levi had previously signed a record deal and had gone to Ibiza to work on some songs. When it was time to leave, he chose to go to Barcelona to allegedly visit some friends instead of going back home. That evening, the 24-year-old rugby player went to the Old Irish pub on La Rambla, where he had 1 pint and left after just 35 minutes. Security cameras captured his last known movements. In the footage, Levi is seen heading towards the nearby Hard Rock Cafe and then making his way south towards the port. Shortly after midnight on October 30th, 2022, Levi sent a WhatsApp voice note, his last known contact with any friends or family. This was also the last time his phone's signal was detected, somewhere near the port's sea entrance. Days later, Levi's passport was found abandoned on a nearby bench, but Levi himself had disappeared. An official missing persons report wasn't filed until later. The Catalan police launched a search on November 8th. Days stretched into weeks, with little to no success. But then, 4 cruise liner crew members came forward with new information. They reported seeing a man in the sea, wearing a light-colored top that matched the one Levi wore on the day of his disappearance. Even more, they said the man had called for help in English. After a lifebuoy was thrown to him, the man disappeared into the waves. The Coast Guard and police then conducted a search, but found nothing. The news gutted Levi's mother, Julie Davis. She expressed her dissatisfaction with the investigation, which she described as painfully slow. Moreover, Julie criticized the delay in processing crucial information, such as the cruise liner crew members' stories. Julie revealed that her son had been struggling with depression, which was made worse by stress related to money. As she described the months that followed his disappearance, which were marked by both optimism and despair, as well as a relentless search for the truth, her pain was evident. After thorough investigations turned up no concrete proof, the police's main theory is that Levi drowned. This view is not generally agreed upon, though, and the case is still open despite being inactive. Though none have been proven, theories ranging from willful disappearance to debt-related foul play have surfaced. The case was made more complicated and intriguing by rumors that Levi was being blackmailed. Julie Davis is still holding out hope that her son will be found alive, despite the overwhelming odds. She has brought attention to discrepancies and holes in the investigation. Julie has concerns about the timing and truth of the information provided. It was June 13, 2004. Kevin Ainley, a 24-year-old from Fleetwood, Lancashire, had relocated to the tourist hotspot of Playa de las Americas in Tenerife, Spain, just 3 months prior. That afternoon, Kevin was seen walking towards the sportsman bar where he worked. But what started as a typical day ended in a 20-year-long mystery, leaving Kevin's friends and family in a state of permanent wonder that persists to this day. At 24 years old, Kevin Ainley was an outgoing man, known for his magnetic personality. Before relocating to Tenerife, he had lived in Fleetwood and Wakefield, working various jobs. But working in Tenerife was far more suitable for Kevin's personality. The island is famous for its nightlife, which is centered around Playa de las Americas, where Kevin found employment as a bar promoter. The man quickly adapted to his new environment in Tenerife, making multiple friends and enjoying the exciting nightlife. On June 13th, Kevin had been out and about, handing out flyers for the Sportsman pub in an area commonly known as the Patch. He then went out with some of his friends, going from bar to bar. Later at lunch, he went to Merlin's, a Chinese buffet in the area, to eat with a friend. After eating lunch, Kevin was last seen unaccompanied, making his way to the Sportsman bar. But he never arrived there. The following day, on June 14th, Kevin's dad received a worrisome call from one of his son's friends. According to this friend, Kevin hadn't been seen since the previous day. A week later, Kevin's mother officially reported him missing. It didn't take long for police to find the man's personal belongings. His passport, cash, phone and clothes were discovered in his flat, left untouched. Spanish officials carried out the first investigation into Kevin's disappearance, and Lancashire police later examined the findings, but no noteworthy leads surfaced. It was as if Kevin Ainley had vanished into thin air. His family has been unrelenting in their search for information, particularly his sister Gemma Brooke. In 2016, she begged anyone with knowledge to come forward, expressing their increasing desperation and their hope that their suffering can finally come to an end. The pain of not knowing has followed them for over 20 years now, but the family's attempts to find closure were hampered by the fact that the case at the time garnered little public attention. Many requests for information were made over the years. A new appeal was launched by Lancashire Police in 2018 and centered on an alleged fight that Kevin had with door staff at the Café Del Moir on the morning of June 13, 2004. According to several witnesses, after the altercation, Kevin left the venue and headed towards the Altamar apartments, where he was staying. Later that afternoon, he was seen at Merlin's, before disappearing while en route to the Sportsman bar. According to his relatives, Kevin was the life of the party and a cheerful, kind-hearted person who made a tremendous impression on everyone. His disappearance created a huge hole in their lives that is still accompanied by uncertainty and an endless stream of questions. Over the years, his mother, Kath Carter, and his other sister, Kaylee, have expressed their grievances, criticizing the lack of a thorough investigation and the discouragement they were met with when trying to find Kevin on their own. Kevin's sister, Gemma, set up a Facebook page in honor of her brother, where she posts tributes, memories, and requests for information in the hope that someone, somewhere, knows something. On July 24, 1991, a bright summer's day, 21-month-old Ben Needham disappeared from the home of his maternal grandparents in the village of Iraklis, near Cosstown. Kerry Needham, Ben's mother, who was around 20 years old at the time, had gone to work at a nearby hotel, so Eddie and Christine Needham were in charge of little Ben that day. The Needhams were in Cos to renovate the farmhouse. They were originally from Sheffield, in South Yorkshire. It wasn't unusual for Ben to spend the day playing in and around the house, and July 24, 1991, was no exception. His grandparents saw him every now and then, and as such believed he was safe and sound, playing. It wasn't until 2:30 p.m. that Eddie and Christine discovered Ben was gone. They first believed that Ben might have wandered off with his adolescent uncle Stephen, who would frequently take him out on rides on his moped. At first, this belief calmed them down, but as time passed with no sign of Ben, it soon became obvious that something was wrong with the child. Eddie and Christine's concern turned to panic. Despite their frantic search of the area, Eddie and Christine couldn't find Ben. They looked for him everywhere, calling out his name, but there was simply no indication of his whereabouts. Ben was at a very vulnerable age, only 3 months away from turning 2. A child so young couldn't fend for himself. Eddie and Christine quickly realized they needed professional help and called the local police, desperate to find their grandson. But an already serious situation got even more complicated. The initial police response was to suspect the Needhams themselves, a common practice, but one that delayed broader searches of critical areas such as airports and docks. The police eventually decided the Needhams weren't involved in Ben's disappearance and started looking elsewhere. But despite an extensive search operation involving the Hellenic Police army and fire brigade personnel, no clues emerged about Ben's whereabouts. Ben's family was furious. They believed the police had wasted precious time by targeting them instead of following other leads. In the days and weeks that followed, the search for Ben intensified. Volunteers from abroad and the local community searched the island. Despite these searches, no concrete evidence turned up. As the months stretched into years, sightings of youngsters who fit Ben's description were recorded from Greece and other countries, but none of them produced any significant results. Investigations into over 300 sightings resulted in disappointment in each case. The entire family was devastated, but Kerry, Ben's mother, held on to hope that her beloved son would eventually come home. In 2003, investigator Ian Crosby created a website devoted to Ben's search in an attempt to maintain momentum on the case. They had to keep the case alive if they truly hoped to ever find some answers. This action sparked public curiosity and brought new information to the surface, which included a picture of a blonde youngster in Turkey who looked a lot like Ben at a younger age. But this lead, like many others before it, ended in disappointment. In the meantime, age progression photos were made and distributed on a regular basis to assist with Ben's identification. Inspired by a suggestion that Ben might have been accidentally buried under building rubble by an excavator, UK police renewed their hunt for Kos in October 2012. Despite the deployment of forensic archaeologists and highly trained dogs, no evidence was found. The family's suffering increased while the mystery remained unsolved. A noteworthy event occurred in 2016 when a Kos native claimed to have information about Ben's disappearance, claiming he knew who was responsible. He said that Konstantinos Barkas, a digger operator, had admitted to killing Ben by mistake and hiding his body under debris. This prompted a second, more extensive search in the area of the family's farmhouse, where detectives found a yellow dinky car, a toy that the Needhams had confirmed belonged to Ben, among the finds. A year later, the toy and a piece of sandal were discovered to have blood traces, according to South Yorkshire police. Although the blood did not turn out to be Ben's, detectives became nevertheless almost certain that Ben had perished in an accident close to the farmhouse, despite early optimism. But the story is far from over. As of July 24th, a Danish man has come forward. This man alleges that he is Ben Needham. According to the man, his grandparents told him that he was taken from Kos as a child. Even more, the man says that when confronted, his parents have refused to deny the claims. The man claims he was kept secret for a number of years, which adds to the mystery. Additionally, he says that he remembers being kept in a caravan after hearing someone yell Ben at him at a market 25 years ago. Ben's mother, Kerry, who is now in her 50s, is now awaiting the results, hoping to be reunited with her son. But she remains cautious over the claims since 2 other men have claimed to be Ben this year alone. September 30th, 2013, was a warm day in Greece. That day, Roger Bainbridge, a retired 67-year-old from Kendal, Cumbria, set out on what was supposed to be a regular day trip from Paxos to the little Greek island of Antipaxos. But this dreamy Greek island, renowned for its serene beaches and gorgeous scenery, was about to become the focus of an intriguing mystery, and Roger was the reason why. An enthusiastic swimmer and walker, Roger had been visiting his sister Maggie's vacation house in Paxos. Since retirement, he had made several trips to Paxos, where he enjoyed the pleasant climate and tranquil surroundings. He took a boat that day to Antipaxos, 2 square miles of absolute rugged beauty. It was going to be the last time anyone saw him. Roger's life served as an example of living life to the fullest, even in retirement. Up until his early retirement in his 50s, he had been employed with the Northwest Electricity Board. He was a dedicated family man who had been married to his wife, Ruth, for more than 40 years. He had 2 daughters and 4 grandchildren, and was well known for his commitment and strong morals. Even more, he was known for not taking unnecessary risks on his walks, which made the events of September 30th, 2013, all the more bizarre. Roger was ready for a full day of exploration. Wearing walking shoes and a rucksack on his back, he set off to explore the narrow paths of the small island. He had only €50, no passport, and no identification with him. He was last seen on a track. Roger appeared to be enjoying his alone time. But cause for worry appeared as dusk drew near, and Roger did not show up for the barbecue his sister was cooking. After Maggie reported him missing, a thorough search was launched. The island was searched by local police with the help of residents and other volunteers. While people snorkeled in the nearby waters looking for Roger, helicopters hovered overhead, searching for any sign of the 67-year-old. Though the island is anything but large, its dense vegetation and multiple paths, many of which lead to dead ends, made the search difficult. Weeks passed, and the initial optimism that Roger could still be alive started to fade. Nothing turned up despite the extensive searches. No remains, no possessions, nothing. The family was becoming more and more perplexed by the day. Ian, Roger's son, expressed the family's bewilderment and sadness while pointing out that his father was a seasoned traveler with extensive knowledge of the area. The situation was made much more confusing by the absence of any evidence. As the weeks became months, the search efforts slowed but did not stop. The Bainbridges continued to receive support from the local community, and many people there still kept a lookout for Roger. Those who knew him, notably his walking group friends, were profoundly affected by the mystery surrounding his disappearance. A year later, in 2014, the family still didn't know what happened to Roger. Ian, Roger's son, said his life had been put on hold and that he was troubled by the unresolved mystery as he thought just how bizarre the circumstances were. He said he hoped for any information to assist the family move on, even if it was just confirmation that Roger had passed away. As of 2024, Roger Bainbridge is still missing. On June 17, 2019, 73-year-old Bridgend, South Wales, retiree John Tossell embarked on a stroll on the Greek island of Zanta. He was having a great time on the third day of vacation with Gillian Griffiths, his partner. John, who was well known for leading an active lifestyle and enjoying discovery, had intended to go up Mount Skopos in search of a monastery. He was last seen on CCTV leaving his hotel in the Argasi village at 9:46 a.m. Nobody realized that this would be the last time he was seen. John Tossell wasn't your regular retiree. According to his family, he was fit as a flea, an enthusiastic, active person who loved going for walks with his dogs and swimming 3 times a week. His retirement years had been spent traveling and discovering new locations, leading to a fulfilling life. His journey to Greece with Gillian was no exception. The day John vanished started like any other. John headed out of the hotel with the intention of hiking up Mount Skopos, which offered beautiful views and a tranquil setting. After informing Gillian of his plans, he left with just the basic necessities and no phone. But John never returned. Fear turned to panic as the hours went by, and John did not come back. By nightfall, Gillian raised the alarm when John did not arrive. The initial search efforts were swift. Greece's authorities searched the area extensively, but in vain. The search was difficult on Mount Skopos because of the area's thick undergrowth and intricate trail system. Local fire and rescue crews combed the area extensively, but they were unable to locate John. After only 5 days, the official search was cancelled, leaving John's family confused and hopeless. Gary, John's son, flew to Zante to assist with the search. The excruciating experience of travelling back to the UK without his father was, in his words, the most gut-wrenching thing he had ever experienced. Gary and the family searched the mountain for 4 weeks, but their efforts were fruitless. Locals' contradictory accounts only made them more confused and hurt. One woman said she had John at the top of the mountain, but she told different stories every time she was questioned. Since there was no concrete evidence, people started theorizing, with some believing John might have left the island. Others, however, suspected foul play. The family believed there was a lack of thoroughness in the initial investigation. As such, they were frustrated. They believed that crucial time had been lost for no good reason, and that Greek authorities had not done enough. Since John's disappearance, Gary and his family have visited Zante multiple times in the hopes of discovering more information. South Wales police are still conducting investigations on the case. Gary makes sure no detail is overlooked by routinely going over the case file. Not a single trace of John has been located despite the intense search, not even his hat, which would have probably fallen off if he had fallen. John Tossell remains missing to this day.